Welcome to the Third Win channel. Today we're going to be doing Disney slash Nickelodeon leads, as in like the main character from each of the series you see below. I thought this was an interesting video just to be able to compare and see who did it better. And another thing I like to use as a criteria for this video is, are there characters in the shows which outshine them? But without further ado, let's get into it. And number one, first we got Alex Russo from Wizards of Waverly Place, who I think is a solid A tier. I like that she's a bit of a deviation from the perfect girl, the kind of role model-y one, because she's depicted as a bit lazy. She uses magic to get out of problems, and she can be somewhat unfocused and sometimes do the wrong thing, but in the end, she is, of course, friendly, does the right thing, caring person. But I thought it was a bit of a more interesting take than some of the other shows we'll see here. Moving on, we got BTR, who I think is a D. They have four guys, and they manage to be very uninteresting. And the only times when this show is entertaining is when ridiculous things are happening, like one gets hurt and then there's a reaction, there's a huge laugh track, and crazy sound effects. And what I'm trying to say is that they could have built, with four main characters, they could have built so many interesting dynamics. Like with Drake and Josh, you have two characters and there's a dynamic there that you never get tired of. But with BTR, it's just stale and completely unrealistic from what four best friend bro kind of teenage guys would be like. Moving on, we have Carly Shay from iCarly, who I think is S tier. Out of all these kind of, you see most of the leads here are um female leads, like kind of teenage female leads, and out of all of them, I think Carly's the most interesting. It's hard to pinpoint exactly why, but I think our interactions with Sam and Freddie, one being having a crush on her, and the other one being as crazy as Sam is, and then her brother, just all those interactions and how whimsical she can be. And she's usually just she even says it herself, she's kind of prissy, but sometimes she can be completely unpredictable. And in the end, it just comes down to, I guess, how funny the show was, how entertaining the show was. And Carly's character, she's meant to be this normal girl, but sometimes she can be unpredictable. I don't know, I thought she's just more entertaining. There's not, like I said, I can't really pinpoint why exactly, but I think so. I think she's more entertaining. Miley Cyrus slash Hannah Montana is next, and she goes in a C for me. No, I think it has to do with the show not aging very well and us having better leads with time going on. And I think the most interesting part about her character is the whole needing to manage the stress of being two people and lying about one identity or the other. And that's an interesting topic, but as a character, I don't know. Not I think that the whole show is a bit uninteresting to me. Maybe that's just me. Um and yeah, the other characters in the show weren't all that interesting either. So yeah, that's a C for me. Again, remember, this is my list. My personal opinions. Next, we got Drake and Josh, which I've been talking about a little bit. But they're phenomenal. There's two guys, and they're polar opposites, and it works perfectly. They're both really funny. They both, when they get into crazy situations, their reactions and crazy expressions are amazing. And just that dynamic between the two and the development of their characters. And I don't know. I just think they're very realistic, and there's no one else in the show that really outshines that dynamic between the two. They're really realistic for what two bros would be like, unlike BTR, which is ridiculous. So I think that's why this show has such a huge affection from um teens, because it just feels more real. Moving on, we have Jessie, which is an odd one because I think it's the only character here who is an adult babysitting. Um, but the character comes off to me as like the middle of the road, not too risky, not too interesting, but also endearing in the sense that, like, I don't know, she has to solve problems and has these kids, and She's a bit of a mother figure, but yeah, just middle of the line, not super interesting. Moving on, we have Good Luck Charlie and Teddy. I like the premise of the show where she's kind of navigating her little sister's life through video diary. That's cool. And I think the biggest issue is that I just prefer some of the other. I think that she's a little stale, a little bland sometimes, and the other characters in the show are just funnier. I value that. You know how funny a character is. Her dad, her brothers. I think she outshines her mom, but she just doesn't do enough. I do think she's better than Jessie. Just the whole show is better as well, all the characters. But just a little too little is what I can say there. Moving on, we got Austin and Ally, which is one of these shows that actually the characters, at least one of the characters, develops a lot, which is Ally, who goes from being a shy, completely introverted, intelligent type to go to being at the end of the show quite brave and conquers her stage fright, which is interesting. And the dynamic between the two, where Austin helps her with that, and then in return, Ally helps him with the music writing, is an interesting combination. And I think that in terms of Disney shows, this was a real comeback. Where does it go? I think I would put it at the top of B tier, to be honest. Moving on, we have Sam and Cat, which is probably the worst one on this list. And I'll explain why. They took two really great characters from two really great shows. They put them in the most boring sitcom situation, added two other really uninteresting characters, and they completely dilute the things that made these characters interesting. And it's just, looking at it, it just makes me cringe. I don't know. It just didn't work for me. That's, I don't really have much more to say, to be honest. Um, so it's not really the characters, it's the scenario they're put in. Moving on, we have Victoria from Tori from Victorious. Um, where do we put her? This is a really controversial one because almost everyone else in the show is more interesting than Tori, but Tori is kind of the glue. And it's hard in a tier list of just the characters in Victorious, she wouldn't be at the top. So I think I have to put her in this kind of Good Luck Charlie area. In terms of the other characters in the show, kind of outshine her, but she does act as a kind of glue. And for the most part, I liked her character, so I'm gonna put her. And also her interactions with those characters are really great. And without them, I guess with Tori's void would not really make sense for the show. Then you have a kind of Sam and Cat situation where it's a bit too crazy. You know, there's no grounding characters. Um, and moving on, last, we have a very similar situation to Tori, where most of the characters outshine Zoey from Zoey 101, but she does act as a bit of a glue. But the big problem with Zoey is that she's just far too perfect. She doesn't make mistakes. She solves everything. She's just this perfect idol, role model type. And we see a bit too much of that, I think. So I think worse than Tori and Zoey can go like somewhere there. If I had to bump up, I think one of the B characters probably deserves to be bumped up one more. And yeah, why not it be Tori? But kind of looking at this list now and thinking about why one character works better than the other. I think it's really important, the whole outshining thing, but also they make the characters too perfect. There is how can a character improve if they're already perfect to begin with? They're just they don't have the flaws, but I don't know. I think that it's hard because it's a kids show after all, and you don't want terrible people as your leads. So I think Drake and Josh was the perfect silver lining, the golden standard. Just pushes the border, like the boundary, just enough to make it the most entertaining leads out of all of these. But I'm curious to see another observation is that there are so many teen female leads. Like, let's see, we got one, two, three. Sorry, we'll go for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just solo. And then if you count these two, we have 9. So 9 out of 11 or 7 out of 11 are female teen leads, and comparing them, there aren't that many differences between these characters, with some exceptions. Like I think Carly and Alex are improvements. But with that being said, that's my list. This was a bit difficult to make, a bit more difficult than I thought it would be. But I'm really curious to hear what you guys think. Uh, have I missed something? Is there much more to this than I have found? Let me know, and let me know if you want more Nickelodeon Disney content. There's already a lot on this channel, so you can go check that out and subscribe if you want more, because that lets me know that you like this kind of content. And I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for watching.